Success usually doesn't arrive with a loud announcement. It doesn't suddenly knock on your door one morning and say, "Congratulations, your life has changed." Instead, it hides inside small actions. The workout you almost skipped, the page you almost didn't read, the English lesson you almost postponed until tomorrow. One small decision doesn't seem important, but when you repeat that decision hundreds of times, your entire life begins to change. Hello, my amazing students. My name is Sarah, and today we're going to learn English through one of the most powerful ideas for success: consistency. Not talent, not luck, not motivation. Because motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel excited. Other days, you don't feel like doing anything. But consistency keeps moving even when motivation disappears. In this lesson, we'll discover why small daily actions become extraordinary results over time. Why successful people don't rely on feeling motivated every day. How consistency builds confidence. Why progress often feels invisible before it becomes obvious. And how one simple habit can completely change your future. While listening, you'll improve your English vocabulary, your listening comprehension, and your confidence with natural English. So don't just listen. Imagine how these lessons apply to your own life. Because today's episode isn't only about learning English. It's about learning how small actions repeated every day can create a life you never thought was possible. We'll explore this idea through 5 lessons. Lesson number 1, why small actions matter more than big dreams. Lesson number 2, why motivation fails but consistency wins. Lesson number 3, how consistency builds confidence and discipline. Lesson number 4, why most people quit too soon. And finally, lesson number 5, how one simple habit can change your entire life. Let's begin with lesson number 1, why small actions matter more than big dreams. Lesson number 1, why small actions matter more than big dreams. Everyone loves big dreams. People dream about becoming successful, speaking English fluently, starting a business, getting healthier, traveling the world, changing their lives. But here's the truth. A dream by itself changes nothing. What changes your life is what you do after you wake up. Imagine 2 people. The first person says, "One day I'll become fluent in English." The second person says, "Today I'll study English for 20 minutes. After one day, there's almost no difference between them. After 1 week, the difference is still very small. But after 1 year, their lives look completely different. Why? Because success isn't built in one day. It's built one day at a time. This is the power of consistency. Many people wait for the perfect moment. They think, "I'll start next Monday," or "I'll start when I have more free time," or "I'll start when I feel motivated." But successful people understand something important. The perfect moment rarely comes. So they begin with what they have, even if it's only 10 minutes, even if the progress feels small. Think about learning English. Reading 1 page today doesn't make you fluent. Learning 5 new words doesn't seem life-changing. Listening to 1 podcast may not feel impressive. But imagine doing those small actions every single day for 2 years. Suddenly, your vocabulary becomes much larger. You understand conversations more easily. You speak with greater confidence. Not because you studied for 10 hours in one day, but because you never stopped showing up. Here's another mistake many people make. They underestimate small improvements. If you improve by only 1% every day, that tiny improvement doesn't look exciting, but those small improvements continue growing. One lesson becomes 10. 10 lessons become 100. 100 lessons become real ability. This idea doesn't only apply to English. It applies to almost everything. Saving money, building healthy habits, learning a skill, improving relationships, getting stronger. The biggest results usually come from the smallest daily actions. Another important lesson is this: don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. When you watch someone speaking perfect English, remember, you're only seeing the result. You're not seeing the thousands of hours they spent practicing. Every expert was once a beginner. Every confident speaker once felt nervous. Every successful person once struggled. The difference is that they kept going. So instead of asking, "How can I change my life today?" ask, "What's one small action I can repeat every day?" Because one action repeated consistently is far more powerful than one huge effort that never happens again. Dreams give you direction, but daily actions move you forward. And when you repeat those actions long enough, one day you'll look back and realize something incredible. The life you once dreamed about was built by the small choices you almost thought didn't matter. Lesson number 2, why motivation fails but consistency wins. Have you ever felt incredibly motivated on a Monday, only to lose all that motivation by Thursday? It happens to almost everyone. One day, you feel excited. You tell yourself, "This time I'm going to change my life." You create a perfect schedule. You plan to exercise every day. Study English for 2 hours. Read a book every week. Wake up early every morning. For a few days, everything goes well. Then life happens. You have a busy day. You feel tired. Something unexpected comes up. Suddenly, you skip one day, then another. Before long, the new habit disappears. Was the problem your goal? No. The problem was relying only on motivation. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings change. Some mornings, you'll wake up full of energy. Other mornings, you won't feel like doing anything. If you only work when you feel motivated, your progress will always depend on your emotions. But consistency works differently. Consistency says, "I may not feel like doing it today, but I'll do it anyway." That's the difference. Successful people aren't always more motivated. They're often simply more consistent. Think about brushing your teeth. Do you wake up every morning feeling excited to brush your teeth? Probably not. You do it because it has become part of your routine. You don't debate it. You don't wait for inspiration. You just do it. The same idea can apply to learning English. Instead of asking yourself every day, "Do I feel like studying?" ask, "What time do I usually study?" That small change is powerful. You're no longer depending on motivation. You're depending on a routine. Another mistake people make is trying to do too much at once. Imagine someone decides to study English for 3 hours every day. That sounds impressive. But after 1 week, they feel exhausted. Eventually, they stop completely. Now imagine another person studies for just 20 minutes every day. It doesn't sound extraordinary, but after 1 year, who has learned more? Usually the second person. Why? Because consistency beats intensity. Doing a little every day is often more effective than doing a lot once in a while. Here's another important lesson. Don't let one bad day become a bad week. Everyone misses a workout. Everyone skips a study session. Everyone has difficult days. The problem isn't missing one day. The problem is believing that one mistake means you've failed. Instead, tell yourself, I missed today, but I'll be back tomorrow. That's how consistent people think. They don't expect perfection. They expect themselves to continue. Remember, progress isn't about never falling. It's about getting back up every time you fall. So if you're learning English, don't wait until you feel inspired. Read one page, listen to one lesson, practice one conversation. Do something, even if it's small, because every time you keep your promise to yourself, you're building something much stronger than motivation. You're building discipline, and discipline will continue working for you long after motivation has disappeared. Lesson number 3, how consistency builds confidence and discipline. Many people believe confidence comes first. They think, when I become more confident, I'll start speaking English. Or, when I feel ready, I'll begin chasing my goals. But what if it's actually the opposite? What if confidence doesn't come before action, but because of action? Imagine you've never spoken English with another person. The first conversation feels scary. You worry about making mistakes. You think people might laugh. You feel nervous before saying even a simple sentence. But then you try. Maybe it isn't perfect. Maybe you make a few grammar mistakes. Maybe you forget a word. But you finish the conversation. The next day, you do it again, then again, and again. After 50 conversations, something changes. You're still not perfect, but you're no longer afraid. What happened? Your confidence didn't appear overnight. It grew because you kept practicing. That's what consistency does. It slowly replaces fear with experience. Now let's talk about discipline. Many people think discipline means forcing yourself to work all day without taking a break. But real discipline is much simpler. It's keeping promises you make to yourself. Imagine you decide, I'll read 10 pages every evening. Nobody is watching you. Nobody will punish you if you stop. The only person who knows your promise is you. Every time you keep that promise, you strengthen your self-discipline. And every time you repeatedly break it, you slowly stop trusting yourself. That's why small promises are powerful. If you promise yourself something realistic and you keep doing it, your mind begins to believe, I'm someone who finishes what I start. That belief changes the way you see yourself. Here's another example. Think about someone who goes to the gym. The strongest person didn't become strong after one workout. They became strong after hundreds of ordinary workouts. Most of those days probably weren't exciting. They simply showed up. The same is true for learning English. One lesson won't make you fluent. One book won't transform your vocabulary. One conversation won't eliminate your fear. But hundreds of small lessons, books, and conversations will. Another important lesson is this. Don't measure success only by results. Measure it by consistency. Imagine you studied English today. You still made mistakes. Does that mean today was a failure? Of course not. If you showed up and practiced, today was a success. The result will come later. Many people quit because they expect immediate improvement. When they don't see quick results, they think nothing is happening. But consistency works quietly, just like planting a seed. For days, you see nothing above the ground. But underneath, the roots are growing. One day, the plant finally appears. Your progress often works the same way. You may not notice it every day, but one day you'll realize you understand more. You speak more naturally. You hesitate less. And that's because of every small effort you made before. So remember, confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you build. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being reliable. And consistency turns ordinary daily actions into extraordinary long-term results. Every time you choose to continue, you're becoming the person you want to be. Lesson number 4, why most people quit too soon. Have you ever started something with excitement, only to quit a few weeks later? Maybe it was learning English, going to the gym, reading books, or waking up early. At first, everything felt exciting. You imagined how much your life would improve. But after a while, the excitement disappeared. And many people stop right there. Why? Because they confuse slow progress with no progress. Imagine you're trying to fill a large bucket with water. Every day, you add one small cup. When you look inside after the first day, it doesn't seem different. After the second day, still almost nothing. Even after a week, the bucket still looks nearly empty. Some people look at it and think, this isn't working, so they stop. But another person keeps adding one cup every day, without complaining, without looking for quick results. Eventually, the bucket becomes full. Life works in a similar way. Most meaningful results take time. The problem is, people want to see success before they've earned it. They want to speak English fluently after a few weeks. They want to lose weight after a few workouts. They want a successful business after a few months. But real growth doesn't happen that way. It rewards patience. Another reason people quit is comparison. Today, it's very easy to compare yourself with others. You open social media, you see someone speaking perfect English, someone running a successful company, someone living your dream life, and suddenly, you feel behind. But remember, you're comparing your everyday life with someone else's highlight reel. You don't see their failures, their doubts, their years of practice. You only see the final result. Instead of comparing yourself to other people, compare yourself to who you were last month. Can you understand more English now? Can you speak a little more confidently? Have you learned new words? If the answer is yes, you're moving forward. And that's what matters. Here's another mistake. People often expect progress to be exciting every day. It isn't. Most successful people spend far more time doing ordinary work than celebrating extraordinary moments. The writer writes, the athlete trains, the musician practices, the English learner studies, day after day. Sometimes it's exciting, sometimes it's boring, but they continue. That's what separates people who succeed from people who quit. They don't fall in love with the result. They fall in love with the process. Now imagine you miss one day of practice. Many people think, I've already failed, so I'll start again next month. But missing one day doesn't erase your progress. Quitting does. A simple rule can help. Never miss twice. If you skip today's English lesson, come back tomorrow. If you miss one workout, do the next one. Don't let one mistake become a new habit. Finally, Remember that every successful person has felt like quitting. The difference is that they didn't make a permanent decision based on a temporary feeling. They kept going, even when progress was slow, even when nobody noticed, even when they doubted themselves. So if your dream feels far away today, don't ask, "Why am I not there yet?" Ask, "Did I take one more step today?" Because consistency isn't about moving fast. It's about refusing to stop. And often, the people who achieve extraordinary things are simply the ones who stayed on the path long enough to see the results. Lesson number 5, how one simple habit can change your entire life. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. Nothing looks different. Your room is the same. Your job is the same. Your English level is the same. Your goals are the same. But there's one small difference. You decide to keep one promise to yourself. Just one. Not 10 new habits. Not a complete life transformation. Just one simple habit that you'll repeat every single day. It could be reading one page of a book, practicing English for 20 minutes, going for a short walk, writing in a journal, or waking up 15 minutes earlier. At first, that habit won't seem very important. In fact, other people may not even notice it. But here's what many people don't realize. One good habit often creates another. Imagine you study English for 20 minutes every morning. After a few weeks, you begin understanding more. Because you're improving, you become more confident. Because you're more confident, you start speaking more often. Because you're speaking more, your vocabulary grows faster. One small habit creates another, then another, and another. That's how real change usually happens, not through one dramatic moment, but through small decisions that build on each other. Now think about someone who says, "I don't have enough time." The truth is, most habits don't fail because they take too much time. They fail because people make them too difficult. If you tell yourself, "I'll study English for 3 hours every day," you'll probably feel overwhelmed. But if you say, "I'll study for just 20 minutes," it suddenly feels possible. And something interesting happens. Starting is often the hardest part. Once you've started, continuing becomes much easier. Another important lesson is this. Don't focus only on what you want to achieve. Focus on the person you want to become. Instead of saying, "I want to speak fluent English," say, "I want to become someone who practices English every day." Instead of saying, "I want to get fit," say, "I want to become someone who exercises regularly." This small change is powerful because goals have an ending, but habits become part of your identity. And when something becomes part of who you are, you no longer need to force yourself to do it. It becomes natural. Now let's look back at everything we've learned today. Small actions matter more than big dreams. Motivation comes and goes, but consistency keeps moving forward. Confidence grows through repeated action. Most people quit because they expect quick results. And one simple habit, repeated long enough, can completely change the direction of your life. So here's a challenge for you. When this lesson ends, don't try to change everything. Choose one habit. Only one. Make it realistic. Make it simple. And repeat it tomorrow. Then the next day. Then the next. Because your future isn't created by what you do once. It's created by what you do consistently. One day You'll look back and realize that the biggest changes in your life didn't begin with a huge decision. They began with one small habit that you refused to give up. Thank you so much for listening. Keep learning, keep improving, keep showing up. And remember, consistency may seem slow today, but one day you'll discover it was quietly building the life you always wanted.